right. So I actually came down to Las Vegas and got my bachelor's from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Originally, I'm from Montana. And I was afforded the opportunity and was asked to apply for a job at the United Nations in my senior year at the university. And I guess I would say I was fortunate enough to be hired as a software developer for the UN's Department of Peacekeeping Operations, which basically sent me overseas for 12 years as a software developer, and then moving up through the ranks, got my master's degree while I was serving overseas in information systems management. And then kind of moved up from software development into actually leading development teams, becoming a software architect, and choosing how things were built, which has always been a passion for me, software development, and then kind of building solutions. And
Can you
then
talk? I know it's touchy. Can you talk about any things you built or were a part of? I know,
oh
yeah,
yeah.
probably touchy. Okay, cool. I'll love to
Yeah, no,
hear.
absolutely. So I was initially hired for the United Nations project to build a human resources application. Um, there was a problem within the Department of Peacekeeping Operations that it was taking more than 1 year to go through the process of putting out a job application or putting out an advertisement for a job and then actually getting boots on the ground. If you can think about that, when you have a peacekeeping mission, waiting more than a year for somebody to get there was a big problem. And so we built the platform called the Galaxy Project for the United Nations, of basically being able to electronically put out job descriptions, take in electronic applications from applicants all around the world. And we took that down from publishing a job announcement to actually getting boots on the ground in a peacekeeping mission from over a year down to just 90 days. So that was a big win for that project. And then 9/11 happened, and the United Nations headquarters sent all of its staff home and evacuated the headquarters. And then about a week later, they said, "Hey, everybody, we want you to come back to work." But they didn't know how to contact any of their staff members, emergency contacts. So I actually worked on a project for the United Nations to build a platform where all the staff members could put in emergency contact information so that should there be an evacuation from the headquarters or one of the missions, they would be able to reach out and know where the staff members went afterwards. And the last project that I worked on the United Nations for was actually a sexual exploit and misconduct tracking system, because there was an issue within the peacekeeping missions of people doing nefarious activities. And before the tracking system was in place, they would be able to, if allegations arose, just move from one peacekeeping mission to another, and those allegations and that misconduct would not move to the new peacekeeping mission with them. So we actually built a tracking system so that if you were faced with accusations in one mission, that record stayed with you if you did happen to move to a new peacekeeping mission. So those were some of the projects that I worked on within the United Nations. It was really exciting, really cool, and kind of, I guess, increased my passion for software development and building platforms.
Yeah, pretty crazy. I'm sure all those are probably used in some form today, which is awesome. Crazy to
Hmm.
think that those didn't exist. And you're not talking about too long ago, which is awesome.
Right.
So walk me through. So we finished with the UN, and then what happens?
Yeah, so had the fortune actually in the peacekeeping mission meeting this great guy from Florida, and who was there seconded through the U.S. State Department, my husband Troy, who was also in technology and cybersecurity. He worked in basically IT forensics, so we put each other to bed at night with stories about technology. But met Troy over the peacekeeping mission, and we actually started our family over the peacekeeping mission. But when I was pregnant with our second daughter, we kind of decided maybe peacekeeping missions weren't a great place to raise a family. So we decided to come back home, decided to settle in Vegas, where I called home basically since the university, and also have family here. So we settled back in Vegas in 2013, and both of us work for different technology companies. I headed up software development for an e-health company here in Las Vegas, building platforms for insurers to do like health risk assessments, cardiovascular assessments, and that kind of thing. But in 2015, Troy and I really started talking about how there was kind of a lack of trusted technology and cybersecurity partners for small to medium businesses. So we decided to open our own company called Axiom Cyber Solutions in 2015, focused on providing cybersecurity solutions to small to medium businesses. And I built a platform for that company that was basically kind of taking in threat data and pushing out to firewalls and giving small to medium businesses some protection that was affordable kind of on a monthly basis. And we exited that company in, I think it was June or July of 2019. And I took a little bit of time to decide what I wanted to be when I grow up. And I decided that I wanted to continue the entrepreneur journey. So talked with Troy about, hey, what do you think about founding another company? But maybe this time taking some of the things that we learned in our previous company, especially within the threat data space, and really looking at applying that to enterprises. So in September of 2019, we co-founded Tego Cyber Inc. And with the idea that we would build a threat intelligence platform for enterprises, to particularly kind of the Fortune 2000 that have already invested in some cybersecurity platforms that we could integrate with, and really kind of push out some threat intelligence. We call it threat intelligence that is intelligent, because a lot of other solutions will just be, here's this tiny little bit of information that we know is bad, but they won't give you any other information about like why it's bad, and how bad is it and how long has it been bad. So that's one of the things that we're trying to solve with Tego.
Yeah, awesome. Well, incredible intro so far, and we'll do an industry chat talking about obviously how you guys fit in and some of the
Hmm.
existing things out there and how you guys are better. And a lot of people don't realize how big of an industry this is, and we'll do a deep dive, in the next videos. But just going back a little bit, the transition from working at a place, head of whatever, and then entrepreneur, pretty incredible story. So I'm curious, is it just hey, we saw some opportunities and we're like, why not? We see how much other people are paying this or that. What made you say, hey, I want to start my own thing?
Right. So it was a little bit of both working for an organization and basically building a platform that was, we could see we were raising and generating a ton of revenue for this other organization. Basically, it's all of our ideas and all of the architecture and everything that we've told them to build and everything like that. And just kind of, I would say, working for the man.
Yeah, yeah.
And being in that situation where it was tremendous high pressure, working 80, 90 hours a week, and not seeing a lot out of that, as far as like recognition, and just working our tails off for for an organization that maybe didn't really appreciate what we were doing. And then on the flip side, realizing, hey, there's this big need for small to medium companies, and they're suffering, and they don't realize, that they need cybersecurity protection and that they are being targeted. So, why don't we take our expertise and see if we can fill that need?
Yeah. No, cool. Extremely interesting. So let's talk about Tego a little bit. My first question is, how did you get the lucky one to be the CEO? How did that discussion go? Just curious.
Yeah, so it is a little bit out of my comfort zone, because I would say, kind of as being a software developer and being kind of like the antisocial stereotype a little bit, to become the public face of a company is something that did push me out of my comfort zone a little bit. But when we exited to private equity with Axiom, being both of us vested in an organization together in a startup environment, did bring quite a bit of stress to the family. So we decided to divest a little bit. And Troy actually got a fantastic opportunity to be the head of global cybersecurity operations for a Fortune 300 interpublic group of companies out of New Jersey. So he was able to get that fantastic job. He works with a really great group of people. But we still wanted to do what we talked about with Tego. So the conversation with Troy kind of went, well, I have this job that I'm doing. You need to go be the public face of the company now, and you get to be CEO.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that's
it's
awesome.
been fun.
Yeah, awesome. Well, so being the CEO, kind of my last question for you. Walk me through what the day to day, week to week, looks like for the CEO of Tego.
Yeah. So, one of the things, being from a software development background, I'm still very heavily involved in the architecture of our solutions and with our development team. So that might be something that's outside the normal day-to-day things that normal CEOs would do, just because of my passion and what I enjoy doing. But then also, being the public face of the company, I'm presenting at a ton of investor conferences, so preparing with that. I'm working with the investor relations team on what they're doing. We have a current S1 offering that's out there, so answering questions and helping them with that. So it's kind of running from one thing to another based on the needs of the organization, but still trying to find the time to put my input in with the product development and with the development teams, and helping with the development of our product.
Yeah, awesome. Wearing many hats, as other CEOs say, there's running the business and there's running the public business, and that's awesome. You're
Exactly.
kind of finding the sweet spot. Well, cool. Look, Shannon, obviously, thanks so much for joining, and I know we're gonna get a ton of questions going forward, and we're gonna do some cool videos. And again, let us know, anyone who's making it this far, things you want to see. Examples you're seeing in the cybersecurity space. Would love to chat about it. But back to you, Shannon. Anything else about yourself that you wanted to kind of throw into this little introduction video?
Yeah, I guess the only other thing that I would add is that I am a huge proponent of encouraging young women to go into STEM careers, particularly cybersecurity. And I took a little time during the pandemic to actually write a book called Ripping Off the Hoodie, encouraging the next generation of STEM girls. That takes a look at my experiences as being a woman in technology, kind of growing up when there weren't a ton of role models out there, or I was one of the only girls in technology classes, and my experiences with that, as well as being the mother of three young girls, and finding out they love video games, but we don't really gear things towards girls in video games and technology still, and how, like, just through that and societal pressures, and as well as discrimination, harassment that women face in the workplace, just how some of those things drive women away from careers, and why it's important that we encourage future generations to look at
Yeah.
STEM as a career and educational possibility.
Yeah, and we can do some stuff on that for sure. It must be
Okay.
a extremely unique experience. Obviously, you touched on it. Very few women, especially in this industry. I come from accounting too, so it's the same type of thing. Very
Right.
few, and I'm sure we'll be able to do some cool chats and talk about your experiences. And yeah, anyone out there, if there's questions you want to see us talk about and move into the future videos, please let us know. But Shannon, thanks so much for
Absolutely.
joining. This is a great first video.
Thank you, Jason.